Guys, yesterday I went to my first Tarkir Dragonstorm Prerelease, and honestly, I had a great time. I went to this event all by myself, so as you can imagine, I had some of those, intrusive thoughts coming into my head. I was a bit worried, like what it was going to be like. I was pleasantly surprised and even was able to finish with a top 3 finish, which I was very happy about. Now, I wanted to make this video because I wanted to share with you guys what that experience was like. I know many of you are probably there, maybe debating about going to a pre-release. You're probably quite nervous about it, like I was. Now, my experience is not going to be necessarily the same as your one, especially depending on where you're playing. If you've watched my last video, you know about some of the horrors that can come from playing at certain places. So if you haven't checked that out, then I will put a video card up here to check that out. But yeah, I'm going to share with you guys my actual experience for this pre-release. So as I said, I went to this pre-release alone, and the things that were going through my head was, one, is this going to be like quite isolating, quite alienating? Am I going to be sat there just by myself, like not really, with no one really engaging with me, depending on obviously who came to this pre-release? It's always that little bit more uncomfortable when you're going by yourself. When you're going with someone, then you can kind of just interact with them. However, what I will say is it's similar to like what people say about traveling, right? If you go traveling with other people, then you don't really tend to mingle. Whereas if you go by yourself, you tend to mingle. And I found myself definitely, as soon as I sat down, making a conscious effort to try and talk to people so that I felt more comfortable in the environment. So if you want to make friends, going with a friend or family member or whatever could actually be quite detrimental, I would say. Now, because of some of the experiences that I've spoke about in my last video, I've sort of had to try and find LGSs that, I feel quite comfortable in. And I have found a nice little hack to escape some of these issues that I talked about. Go to where the rich people are. So I went to one of the LGSs in central London, and yeah, I had a really nice time, a really good experience. As soon as I walked in and sat down, the people around me immediately just started talking to me. Obviously, I said, "Hi guys, is this seat taken? Am I right to sit here?" And they said, "Yeah, go for it." I sat down immediately. "What's your name?" "Oh, my name's this." "What's your name?" Blah, blah, blah. Shaking hands and just immediately making conversation. Like the people that are around me, clearly they came on their own. They weren't with friends. So they were all mingling as well, which was just, it was just really, really nice. Immediately, the complete opposite experience to what I talked about in my last video, where I walked in, suddenly everyone's just kind of like staring at you, and then like you don't feel like you belong there. Immediately, I sat down and I felt welcome. I felt like I was in the same boat as everyone else, and that was lovely. So if you've not been to a Tarkir Dragonstorm pre-release, you might not know, but they have certain pre-release kits for each of the clans. I got a Jeskai one, and funny enough, I'd already bought a Jeskai one to play with my sister, just 1v1, because she's not a huge fan of going to pre-release events. She prefers to just do it with just us two. So that's funny. I got because I was planning, if I was getting to choose, I was going to pick a different clan, so I don't do the same one twice. Even though I will say that just because you get that clan doesn't mean you should build it. It should still be kind of dependent on what you pull. But they do come with a booster that specifically has cards with that clan. So it is easier to build around the clan that you get given, basically, because you're going to have more cards in that pool, most likely. So yeah, I sat down with my little Jeskai box, was making conversation. And one of the guys jokingly said like, Jeskai sucks. Jeskai sucks in this sort of format, in this pre-release. That's the worst clan to build. And I was like, how dare you? Do not talk crap on my Jeskais. I was like, I'm a Jeskai guy, that's my clan. I'm gonna be represented. I was happy I got that. And he was like kind of laughing, and I was like, just you watch. I said, I'm gonna build a Jeskai deck and I'm gonna kick your ass. So once all the players gathered, which was 22 players in total, so this was a really nice turnout. Once all the players turned up, it was like, right, 50 minutes, open up your pre-release packs, get building, plenty of time, right? You would be surprised at how quickly these 50 minutes go up, right? So we get started, we're opening our packs, people are like going, "Oh, look what I pulled, look what I pulled." People were chatting, people were talking. It's a great time. So I open up my packs. I don't get anything too crazy. I did get the Teamer Mythic that allows you to like use landfall to like play loads of dragons. So immediately I was like, wow, if I could get this off, this would be pretty amazing. But it was a 6 mana card, and I know that higher mana cards are not as good in these kind of 1v1 formats. So yeah, and I also didn't get a lot of like good like green cards or anything like that. So that was kind of putting me off building Temur. So yeah, I did the usual thing where you separate all your cards out into all the colors. I noticed I was getting a lot of blue and a lot of red. So, you know, I could have, thinking back now, maybe I could have built maybe into Temur, but I definitely felt like I had more Jeskai stuff. I had the Jeskai kit. I know I had more Jeskai cards overall. So I'm in an RN for a while. I pulled 2 good Mardu rares, I should say. The one of them I put in the deck, the Voice of Victory, and then the other one was like the removal spell. So yeah, I pulled a couple of those good ones, but nothing too crazy that was sort of being like, you should build into this direction. So I just decided, you know what? Sod it. I'm just going to go with Jeskai. I'm just going to go with the plan. I know, you know, I feel pretty confident doing that. So let's get to doing that. Now, these pre-release kits, they come with these little guides, little pamphlets, right? And I always use these. So I really recommend use the resources. Wizards really make it easy for you. They've got this little guide. It says to you, you know, roughly how many like creatures and non-creatures you should have, how many lands, how much of each mana value. They give you little ranges so you can tweak it depending on what kind of deck you're building. I was building Jeskai, so obviously I went on the lower range of creatures and the higher range of non-creatures. Take into consideration what deck you're trying to build, and that should sort of dictate what your numbers should be. But then also, it also depends on what you pull as well, right? I looked at my cards and I knew straight away that one of the rares that I pulled was this Sage of the Skies. I read this card and I was like, wow, this is going to be pretty awesome. If I can get 2/2/3 flying life linkers, if it's the second spell I've cast, then this is going to be a pretty damn good card. So I kind of used that to sort of veer me into the direction of Jeskai. And then I will say, after playing this card here, Riverwheel Sweep, I pulled 2 of these. I put them both in my deck, and I'm so glad I did. These cards came in absolute clutch. If you don't know what this card does, you get to tap a creature, put 3 stun counters on it, and then exile the top 2 cards of your library, and you can play one of them until your next turn. So it's card value, and it's kind of like removal. Very nice card. It allowed me to keep momentum. It allowed me to, if I did exile into something really nice, at one point I literally exiled into Sage of the Skies. Yeah, it was a really nice card. Comboed with this beautiful thing, Ringing Strike Mastery. I would use it to tap something and then combine it at one point with stun counters. So their card was just like tapped forever. They had to pay 5 mana just to get rid of a stun counter. It was pretty lethal. I don't want to go too much into like the deck building side of it, but I basically, guys, I just looked at all my cards, and if it had Jeskai art in it, I put it in the deck. So I am not a master deck builder. You don't have to be a master deck builder for these like pre-release events. That's why I love them. They are very beginner friendly. You can go the more complex route if you want to, but if you want to do what I did and just slap loads of Jeskai cards into one deck, it's gonna do well, right? I came third out of 22 players just by doing that. So as long as you know like some good little like fundamentals as well, like for example, I knew that flyers are really good, so I had a lot of flyers in here. I know I had everything I needed, right? You had your bombs, you have your removal, you know, and you have your little bit of synergy. So as long as you're ticking all those boxes, you're good to go. In terms of my opponents, 2 of them were playing Mardu. Mardu seemed to be really popular at the event. I reckon they were probably the most popular clan. The first one, I won 2-1. The second opponent, I drew. I won 1, she won 1. And then my last opponent, I won 2-0. And he was playing Sultai. He even had like the big scary Tevil, like the Spirit Dragon one that allows you to like delve and play cards from your graveyard. And it's like a 6/6 flying lifelinker, which he even got out at one point. But again, I just had so many answers for these kind of cards. And I was able to get off some nice flurries. I was kind of worried it'd be hard to get the flurry ability off, generally because obviously I know that in a 1v1, you have less mana to play with. But luckily, I had, you know, like these cards, like the Ringing Strike Mastery was one. And then I also had, like, it was just the 1-cost cards really come in clutch. Humbling Elder. In terms of my prize, I got 2 packs out of it. I still have them. They are unopened. I'm kind of saving them. I'm thinking I might use them as like a little prize for when I play with Shannon in our little 1v1. But yeah, hopefully I win them again and I get something good out of those. And it's nice that you've got these prizes, right? Because it's kind of incentive. Because if you do well, right? So for example, like you go into this pre-release, you get 6 packs out of it. And then if you win like 2, like I did, that's 8 packs. So yeah, if you get a prize, you're kind of knocking off some of like the price of the event as well, which is really, really nice. So if you've ever hesitated to go to a pre-release alone, then I recommend you do it. Now, if you've never been to the LGS before, I will say there is a good chance you're going to go there and, you know, it might be filled with people that don't make you feel very comfortable. It might not be a nice environment. But guess what? If that's the case, you walk out and you never go back. And at least you don't have to wonder, right? You don't have to be like, oh, but what if I would go and have a nice time? Just go and do it, right? You don't want to be scared to try. The worst case scenario is you go and you never go back there. You are not locked in. If you wanted to, you could go buy the pre-release kit, go, no, thank you, and just walk out and go home and open your packs. So there really is nothing to lose apart from like whatever the time it takes for you to make the journey. So I really, really wouldn't worry about it. Just go, guys, go. And also, if you've got the blessing of having multiple LGSs near you, try out different ones at different stores. Different LGSs are going to have different vibes. Some you're going to really gel with the people there. They're going to be nice. They're going to be friendly. And others, they might be anything but that. So just go check it out. Don't be worried about going alone. Just go there, get ready to mingle, talk to people. You've got magic to talk about, right? There's nothing to worry about. You are surrounded by people that you've got a common interest in, so just get chatting to them. And overall, Tarkir Dragonstorm was just a great set. It was super fun to play sealed. I would love to play again. I will be playing again with my sister. Now, if your LGS does have these kind of negative stereotypes, or you've had these experiences that I've kind of been hinting at in the video, and you want to know what we can do to maybe try and resolve these issues, then go check out this video here.